What up, squadron? We're back. You know the drill. Friday night out on the piss? Absolutely not. Call of Duty's on the screen. Stay at home. Have a glass of wine. We're back again, guys. We've got another ACCL Super League game this evening. We've got Fluxx ESports. And when we go through the rosters, you guys will recognise who these boys are if you don't know already. Up against Activit-e Esport. Obviously, my man in partner and crime, Mr. Pabs, is joining me. Pabs, mate, are you ready to go once again?
Listen, I'm always ready, man. I am literally at the drop of the hat, but we are again super excited for some high-level ACCL EU smash and grab action. And a hell of a lineup. I mean, two lineups there. I mean, one you're more familiar with and one everyone's familiar with. So super excited for this. And it's a really interesting map set as well. So plenty to talk about this evening.
Yeah, and we'll quickly run through the rosters, but Mr. MB, Mr. Meebo, thank you very much for the follow, and also Anima and Kubish as well. There was one earlier, Sketchy as well, getting some random ones during the time of the day. So a big thank you to everyone who is new, and obviously all the returning goats in the chat as per usual. The lovely names that we're used to seeing.
Man, that's efficient back getting us follows in while you're offline.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad just in case they do tune in halfway through, but. Anyways, on to the game, guys. We've got Fluxx ESports, obviously, against Activit-e Esport. And for anyone who doesn't know what the rosters are for these ones, they're pretty juicy. So Fluxx Esport, you know these boys pretty well. You've probably been battered by them in a Chal or in a GB, or probably on a Sunday tournament. It's Snake, Sean, 11, and Bearish Corey. So obviously these boys managed to get top 6, I believe, Pablo, didn't they, in the last cup? I think top 6 they reached.
Bearish Corey doing very well.
Yeah, so they're obviously a bit of a menace here in the ACCL Super League. Definitely one of the favourites, you would say.
Yeah, 100%. This is going to be an uphill kind of battle for the boys from Activate, and it's no disrespect to them. We're just talking about, you know, especially in terms of like the how much experience Snake's got. And I know I get ripped endlessly for this, but you know, we did play quite a lot of time in challenges last year and did really well. And we did see how close the likes of JMW and that pushed them. But again, they're just in that kind of like next level above. But the guys from Activate Esports, I mean, you know them probably better than me. But in terms of Fluxx Esports, we know the quality. We know just how capable they are. This could be a very difficult game and series for the boys from Activate. And there's just, I mean, it'll be nice to see Corey again. Just haven't cast over quite a lot of his stuff. Obviously, we've seen 11, we've seen Sean, we've seen Luke as well. So that'd be exciting to see a bit more of Corey. But yeah, obviously, I suppose our main focus really is just getting a better understanding of how Activate shape up.
Yeah, I think it's Activity, by the way, Pabs, not Activate, because it's 2 eyes. I think it's Activity, because it's not got a second A in it.
Man, I mean,
need the goggles on. Do you want me? You can have mine.
I honestly, I've got 2 pairs, and I just refuse to wear them sometimes. And you wouldn't believe that back in the day, I was a proofreader for the court, so it just goes, yay me.
And Mr. Lewis, Mr. Lewis, thank you very much, brother. A few of those as well. Thank you very much, Lewis, for the resub. 4 months, what a man. And yeah, so guys, we're just waiting on the invites to come through from the relative teams. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is currently what our map set is going to look like. So we start off with something we're not used to seeing, a Gavutu hardpoint. We then got double Tuscan, we've got a Bocage and a Desert Siege. So we obviously haven't got a triple Tuscan, Pabs, or a double Bocage like we're used to. It's a bit of an odd shaped series, this one, in terms of where the maps are usually placed. You don't normally see Gavutu as a map 1.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was probably the first thing that we remarked on was a map 1 Gavutu, which we've never seen. I don't think we've ever seen that before. We do at least get a back-to-back Tuscan, which kind of keeps in theme with the way we've been going. But it stays, I mean, it's reasonably pacey for the first 4 maps, and then it just completely falls off as we head to probably one of the slowest maps in that Desert Siege, Search and Destroy. But yeah, Gavutu straight out the blocks. I suppose the pick behind that is kind of with the kind of reinforcement of the glide bomb again being quite deadly, you know, and still being a 5, I guess, in this meta in the EU at the very least. It's probably like a good choice if you feel confident that you're going to get streaks. And then the double Tuscan, and we've got no sandwiches today, so that's also good to see it mixed up and slightly unbalanced. So we should get a really interesting series. I just want to see how the likes of Capalux Motions and Hunter and Ryan Gray really do perform at this kind of level. And if this is their best game, it is potentially probably good for them to get the hardest one out the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, if this is going to be a brutal one, obviously we don't like to write teams off straight away, but yeah, get that to the back of the brain, forget about it, and just push on for the other games, because obviously 7 in a group, so they've got 6 games, and You lose one, win five, you're sorted, good to go. Obviously, this one is one of the more stacked groups, I believe, in Group B. I will just quickly double check.
I think this is probably the group of death, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's you've got Fluxx, Milkers, Liquidate Solar, obviously Tommy Lee's team, Iniquity, Black Square GG, Pulsar, and Activit-e. So, I mean, you look at Groups A and Group C as well, they're all pretty much absolutely Ramo. And a quick shout out as well to Miss Mulaney for the raid. Thank you very much, Mel. But yeah, we've got a lot of teams in a lot of different groups, so we're going to be covering a lot of them, and this is obviously our best opportunity to really see kind of what the Activit-e lads have got. We kind of know, you know what you get on the tin with Fluxx in terms of this group of 4. You'd expect them to be very, very good in this series, and anything probably short of a 3-0, I suppose, which it sounds a bit harsh, but Luke's just dropped, said, anyone want to hold this wood? But yeah, you'd expect the boys of Fluxx, if it's anything other than the 3-0, they'd probably be a bit annoyed, because you'd expect them to top this group, probably in this league, in this division.
Yeah, and obviously outside of the fact that they're probably, you know, going to be the slightly more aggressive, slightly more accurate, slightly better side, the maps aren't really kind of in favour of that disparity. There's no Bocage hardpoint that could potentially see any kind of upset or any kind of these smaller maps. So, I mean, in terms of the map set, it probably leans in the favour of Fluxx as well. And, you know, on the other point, I mean, it is a positive that the guys from Activit-e Esports are able to get it out the way, because they don't want to be in a position where they really do need the win in order to move on, and they have to then face Fluxx Esports as like a second to last or last game. So right now, that's probably the positive you can take away with it. I mean, at the end of the day, they could blow us all out the water and be amazing, but I would be surprised if Fluxx don't you know, dominate in at least a couple of the maps. Tuscan Control is still kind of a weird one, but it's shaped up to be more balanced than the Gavutu, so it's nice to see it in there. But yeah, just really looking forward to seeing this game and seeing, you know, how this league develops. And yeah, I think Group C is Group C possibly the one with the tightest of the groups. Maybe I can't remember whether it had a handful of just really close teams in it, but this B as well shaping up to be really good as well. So,
and as we start to
show on the road,
and after the first week, obviously a lot of teams are looking to try and play kind of 2 or 3. You kind of, if you're looking to like top the group, you really want to hit the ground running. Obviously 1 loss, 2 losses isn't really the end of the world when you've got 6 other teams in the group, but towards the end of next week, when we start to see 3/4 games starting to be played, if you're still sitting at maybe 1, maybe 2, and you're probably thinking, because I think it's top 4, isn't it, that progress through, if memory serves me well. So next week is going to be kind of a crunch week for a lot of the teams that are looking to potentially cause an upset and sneak into that top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. So I think we're going to have a really good idea of how the league's going to shape up, and we're going to know who the stronger sides are and who the weaker sides are. And it's just going to be exciting. By the end of next week, we're going to have witnessed some more absolute, you know, belter games and some crazy maps, and undoubtedly we'll have probably witnessed some more absolute mayhem on Bocage again, unless it finally does get rotated out. So I mean, it's going to be exciting regardless, and we're going to have, like, you've got to admit, we're going to have high quality Call of Duty regardless of the evening, you know, most nights. So that's going to be awesome as well. It's really nice to have this league as like it's just a cut above everything that we've cast outside of maybe, you know, the challenges stuff. So it's super exciting. And again, we talk about that finally, that opportunity for players who've come through the ACCL to start having an opportunity to play against the very best in Europe, and this is one of those moments right now.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly give a shout out to Mr. Aqua XT. Obviously, I did type it in the chat, but he resubbed as well. 9 months for the finest of H2O. Thank you very much, Hams. Much love, brother. And yeah, so oh, hello. We've had another one. Molds has just gifted one to the man himself, Mr. Snake. He asked any gifters, and Molds came through. Thank you very much, Molds, for the gifted sub. Obviously, Luke and his boys got a big following, Pabs, and yeah, as mentioned, they're going to be looking to this one to say, right, okay, let's get this done in a 3-0. But it'll be interesting now on the kind of the maps like the Gavutus and the Control as well, especially to kind of have a look at some of these teams that you consider to be the top bracket in EU. To see how they start to play Control in the early stages, because we've seen a few of it, and a lot of teams do seem to be a bit hit and miss on it, where they're kind of going with the feel of what they think is understanding in the game, whereas you would expect the likes of Fluxx and kind of these top 8 to top 16 teams to really get a foothold in it and almost kind of drive the meta of where the spawns are, what you can expect. But other teams to kind of pick things off of they kind of like the leading line for a lot of the big brain plays in some of these game modes, especially like Control, where it's just come out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've probably got to I think one thing to think about is that they're well drilled anyway, so controls of past will, that the kind of the base fundamental of the game will be there anyway, so they'll just tweak it dependent on the very specifics of the map. We saw it last night where, you know, some you know, one of the top players we would consider to be at a stiffer end of his career just absolutely went off last night and dropping
Yeah.
43 and
Yeah.
80. So yeah, we saw just what a good side is capable of, and just, you know, how loose they can be. I mean, at points last night, Team Ricochet were dominating the zone with 3 players, and 1 player was just completely at the other side of the map, just chilling and not even moving, just waiting for any flankers or transitional play. So it's interesting to see how the top end guys do play it, but I suspect, you know, we're going to see just like top level gun skill married to some interesting plays. And, you know, one thing they're able to do is just they go through teams like Butter, they're able to break hills, they're able to hold on to them as well. So I mean, there's a lot. It's, as we mentioned, you know, it was yesterday. It was difficult for XC. They did have like an uphill struggle. They kind of didn't help themselves in the first game, where they kind of got blown out the water a little bit by a team that was, you know, potentially they should have been well matched against. And then they struggled obviously against the higher level side. So that was always going to be a problem. But this is again a similar situation for Activit-e Esports, where they just really need to get a feel for, you know, the maps at this level, what they've got themselves into in this league. And I think if they can even hang with these guys, take the positives from it, go back, have a look at the maps, have a look at your VOD, and try and just prepare for your next games, because obviously there's still plenty of time to make that top 4.
Yeah, and for any of you guys who don't know, I will just quickly put the map graphic up. So obviously map 1, we've got Gavutu, then we've then got a double Tuscan for the search and the control, Bocage map 4, and Desert Siege map 5. And yeah, this is kind of the thing we talk about a lot, Pablo, isn't it? That first map, you really expect the boys of Fluxx Esports to really hit the ground running. So Activit-e, if they are going to take something from the series, I say we don't want to count them out too early, because they have got some very good names in there. Obviously Hunter, I'm pretty sure I've casted him before, Ryan Gray, and we know him from Zach and Dave's old roster, so we know what he's about. And the other 2, I mean, they're teaming with 2 players that we know are very good anyway, in Caprilux and Motions. I don't think we've casted over them specifically, but you think if you're Activit-e, you're looking at map 1 and going, right, okay, let's see if we can catch them off here and potentially try and get something going in the series, because we don't like to stick flags on favourite teams all the time, but it is normally a case of if the favourite takes map 1, they generally normally look good in the series. So you would hope that Activit-e, if they're going to make a series out of this, they take map 1. But then again, we've been proven so many times wrong, haven't we, where a team will do really well in map 1, smash the other team, and then the other team will just take a search, maybe 6-1, 6-2. So it's not a complete write-off just yet anyways.
No, I mean, obviously early days in the season, it's early days in Vanguard, so we're still seeing, like, we're being made to eat our words an awful lot as teams settle on strategies and teams settle on them in terms of their chemistry and how they play themselves, and that's going to happen. And I don't think we won't get to a point where I think we're making more positive and accurate predictions until, you know, well into the season. But you look at yesterday's game, in the second game, the Team Ricochet XC Alpha one, we knew XC Alpha were reasonably good at Berlin, and indeed they just won 6-2 against a team that ended up 3-1 of them in quite dominant fashion, and still they did well on Berlin. They go into the Berlin against Team Ricochet, and it was like, oh, this is going to actually go quite well. It's 2 all-in rounds, and then they just get absolutely smoked. Like, you sometimes forget that some of these teams do have another gear. You've got to bear in mind, again, we had this conversation yesterday, that the Fluxx Esports will have spent the latter part of today just absolutely playing, you know, the highest quality, you know, scrims. They'll be playing hardpoint non-stop for the last, you know, 2 or 3 hours against, you know, whoever. It could be any one of the top 10, 12 to 16 teams in the EU. So in terms of the kind of practice they're getting, it's just those little things that separate the teams, that just give them that better experience. They just, and when I talk about experience, not necessarily in terms of longevity, but just know that they'll know the right heading to go to. They know they can predict better. A good example being Team Ricochet's just complete understanding of Bocage hardpoint spawns, and that's like, you know, you could probably do a degree level dissertation on the mathematical algorithm of the Bocage spawn and never get it right. Like, there's that many different possibilities, and, you know, we've seen it 3 good teams out, and yesterday Team Ricochet just absolutely owned that map. So, you You know, it's these little things. But again, you've got to look to the positives, and this is an opportunity maybe for Activity, you know, Activate Esports to just go in with an open mind and just, you know, get your gun skill up, get your aim on point, you know, start to work your own, see how your strategies work, and just don't move away from that. You know, just see how effective they are and go back, watch the VOD. Doesn't matter if you get 3-0'd or 3-1'd, just go back and watch it and see where you did well and see where you potentially didn't do well, and then take that to the next team and you'd see if it works. So plenty of positives for them to take, you know, going into the game. They've just got to go in with the tails up and, you know, hopefully, you know, catch Fluxx Esports off guard in some way.
Yeah, and quick shout out as well to Crozier for the sub. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you for all the generosity that you guys always continue to show. And we should be lobbying up very, very shortly. I believe we're waiting on Mr. 11 to get the lobby started. Snake's dropped you in that one. So we're just waiting on an invite to come through, and then we can get going into map number 1. But focusing more on towards that Gavutu, Pabs. Obviously, with now the glide bomb coming back through, we discussed it briefly yesterday. It's now a case of it is now one-hit kill again. It's not going to be a case of you're going to have to throw 2 nades, a glide bomb, a stun, and shoot them through the wall to potentially take the man out of that P3 hill. So whether or not, I don't think it is the case now. Of still, we don't have glide bomb at 7. It's still, I believe, sat at 5 unless the guys manually decide to do it themselves. But we're kind of more at a case now where, again, those kills off P1 and P2 are very important for a lot of teams. And obviously with FMJ as well being able to go through the boat now that we discovered yesterday, which I'm pretty sure we've not seen that happen before apart from yesterday.
Whether that's an FMJ thing.
I was quickly, sorry, Pabs, Mr. Ashby just come through with the tier 1 sub. And also, Pabs, George asked for a Pablo C.
Why is he asking for me to do it?
He knows, it's George.
Because it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, probably.
So where's that double tone coming from?
Oh, and Orbits with the tier 1 as well. Thank you very much, guys, for all the subs. And was it Mel? Was it Mel or was it Lisa that managed to come through with the prediction? Thank you very much, guys. Apologies, I'm running out of pans to sort everything out. But yeah, that P3 now, Pabs, again, is back in a situation where a lot of teams will probably be hunting for a glide bomb P1, P2 again, like we're used to seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, while it's set of 5, I think, you know, a team like Fluxx are probably going to take advantage of that. You know, that's going to be it's not going to be their focus, but it's definitely going to be something they can look to achieve, and then obviously dominate that P3 again. I mean, you are right in saying that it's not something that we've seen a lot of is the FMJ being able to penetrate the troop carrier. It's not something we've seen players do at all. In fact, I would suggest at all. So whether that's a new thing, or whether that particular player or players have given up on something that other players would see as almost being, you know, absolute must to have on your class setup. Who knows? But FMJ certainly come out yesterday, and it certainly had a massive impact on the player inside troop carrier. And you've got to consider that to a certain extent. That is your only cover, is that troop carrier in that zone. And obviously, it's a particular power point. So, you know, you throw FMJ on, you throw the glide bomb in, and that becomes a heavy mix for any player who decides to hop onto the troop carrier. So, yeah, no amount of flak jacket or whatever the equivalent was called is going to help you in that position. So that could again become two legit strategies to dominate that P3 or dominate the B zone in control.
Yeah, and quick shout out as well to Grey Vixen for the follow. Luke's partner in crime. Thank you very much for that one. And George with the 100 TIG old biddies. Thank you very much, Mr. George. So everyone is now in the lobby, guys. Thank you very much for your patience. We're just waiting on the old big red button, as you guys know, to get map number 1 underway. And a big shout out to the mods for sorting out the prediction. And oh, lovely death error right before we were going to start. So we'll just have to quickly re-lobby up just a second. But yeah, map number 1, Pabs, it's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, when you've got the likes of Luke on AR, Activit-e Esports, they're going to have to look to try and shut down a lot of these players very early on in the respawns. We've seen a lot of these teams, especially when they're top 16, top 8, they put up some really big numbers in hardpoint, and it's a very consistent thing as well. Especially when you see them on the Saturdays, when you see them play the work their way through the brackets, and it's almost like they're feet up, eating food, and they're still coasting through a lot of their bracket games. So the boys of Activit-e for this map 1 going to have to try and work a bit of magic here. And quickly, just a quick shout out as Mr. Fluxx dropping the gifted sub. Thank you very much, buddy. But yeah, the boys of Fluxx Esports, you're expecting big things from these guys, 100%.
I mean, you're quite right. They do coast through a number of the brackets. It's usually kind of like round 6, round 5, where they start feeling the pressure. Probably round 6, where they do start feeling that bit of pressure. They're probably not dropping too many maps. I think last year, obviously, when we saw JMW put them under pressure, that was a really good side of JMW and JT, and that was really at the peak of their powers as well in terms of the way they play. So it was a great game to watch. But ultimately, Luke was able to come out on top, and it was an awesome game to watch as well. But I mean, it's not. We generally see these, hitting at least, the very latter parts of these kind of tournaments, and we expect to see this as well. This is probably their bread and butter. They spend a lot of time doing this and doing it very well. It's super exciting to see Bearish Corey again, because he had such a good game the last time we were able to cast over him. So outside of the Fluxx esports, kind of like how quality they are, it's obviously just always nice to cast over the very best in the EU. Activit again, though, it's going to be interesting. We get to see Motions and Capulux. You're already familiar with Ryan Gray and Hunter. I'm not particularly familiar with them, so it'll be interesting to see just how they shape up in their chemistry and how they approach different strategic things. Some of the more basic stuff, particularly in control, because it's the newest mode, how they approach kind of get that mid control to try and get the A in attack in particular, and then in particular obviously how they approach B, because that's a very difficult one to break down. And we do see, it's either usually last second, kind of 1 second left on the timer and someone's able to get a foot on kill, or it's usually a strong defense. So it does worry me that the guys from Fluxx are not going to be obviously very aggressive and good on the attack, but they're going to be a solid defensive team. So expect to see Fluxx push right the way up mid map and just absolutely gunning kids from down particular lanes. So, and that's about getting to that map 3. They've got a long way to go before then. But Kafutu Hardpoint Major as a starting point is something we haven't seen very often. So a bit of a breath of fresh air going into map 1, mate.
Yeah, it makes a change to a blockage, doesn't it, for us? It's something obviously a bit more strategic than a blockage, you would argue. And the boys of Activit-e esports, they're going to be looking to try and make a bit of a dent on this series with the help of this map 1. And obviously, this hill, Pablo, this is one where you're not looking to give the other team streaks, and already you can see Luke has managed to carve out 3 kills right off the rip. So Activit-e, they're going to have to do a good job to shut him down early on here, because if he does if he does actually manage to grab streaks, he's not going to be able to on that occasion. But a big kill there, actually, even in the early stages of the game for Activit-e.
Yeah, I mean, there's still like a long way to go. They've got to get to P2, but yeah, it looks like it's positive for them. Taking down Snake while he was on a 3 streak, and he was looking, he was trying to get into that position where he could be a turret and start to take him down. But so far, so good. I mean, we do tend to see that one team take the majority of the time on the P1, so this is going to be important, though. Going straight into P2 and just trying to get, as much time back as possible. Right now, though, it does look like they're in the blender, and it does look like they're having a little bit of trouble just getting out the back of Docks Major. So, long way to go for them right now, and right now there is around and about a 30-point deficit.
Yeah, and Sean just holding down the front of the fort is going to manage to grab 1 kill. The trade comes through, though, and you can see Corey and Snake aren't going to be nearby, so Activit-e, they are going to get inside the hill for the time being, but it's a really strong start from Fluxx esports, as we would come to expect from this roster. Snake still lurking on his 3 streak, just playing it slowly, looking as though he's going to try and farm that glide bomb. Ryan Gray able to take down 1, and he gets a second as well onto Sean. Corey is going to be there for the trade, and there's a few more players underneath him, but you can see Luke at the moment just chilling on P1. He is not moving anytime soon, as he still tries to hunt down potentially some more picks, and he might get some good timing, maybe. Onto Ryan. Is he going to get it? No, the shot's a little bit windy, and the patience of Snake isn't going to pay off there, Pabs. No glide bomb, and the next hill is ready to be popped. But you can see 11 in position, watching the cross, and Fluxx do have the spawns in the back.
Yeah, and this is one of the facets when you've got a team as higher quality as Fluxx esports. Glide bomb not necessarily needed. They've controlled the majority of the time on the first 2 hills, and it looks like they're going to be in the same position. And Snake's been so close to potentially getting 2 streaks, and absolutely guns 11 goes for gold and gets the 2-piece. Great plays. I mean, it's not been a complete slayout though. Activit have kind of stayed kind of among the same kind of kills. We've got Ryan on an 8 and 7, and the other players are doing reasonably okay considering the positioning. Hunter with a 2-piece as well, so the kill feed might go in thoroughly red. But again, we talk about one thing: they need to take advantage of that. If they get a team wipe, they need to know to go and commit to the next hill, at least sensibly, and try and get the scrap time. It's going to be all important for them, Major, to make sure they get as much time as possible based on the kills that they are getting.
Yeah, but it's a good rotation from Activit-e, so they are locked up into position to hold a decent amount of time here. Motion's getting some shots through to take down down Sean. It looks like Corey just waiting patiently before the push comes through while Snake tries to work his way down this beach side, but Capri is going to be able to take down one, and another kill there for Capri. Really good couple of kills coming through from him. Ryan's going to grab one as well, and all of a sudden, Activit-e Esports now in a really good position to try and potentially tie up, if not overtake, Fluxx Esports from those first few hills. It's been a really good hold on P4 so far. The boys of Fluxx are just even struggling to cross over and transition from that middle map over towards the hill. It looks as though they've got to be careful, though, because Corey is going to work his way around the back, and Hunter going to spawn out alongside his teammates. So now this is the best opportunity to try and take motions out of the hill, and they do manage to do it, and those 20 seconds going to be all important, Pabs, for pushing Fluxx Esports to lead once out once again.
Yeah, it was a really good job for the first 35 seconds. But what we did notice was the comms look good. I mean, we've got Capri in the middle. He saw that there was a player pushing around. He didn't really want to reach out. Gives the information out. A player goes around the back to watch, but the other player doesn't really feed the information. The three are converging on beach, and we see time and time again in this hard point. If you get that many bodies over to that deep beach section, they're going to get the spawns, and that ultimately gave them that 20-second cushion of time, which is going to take the lead out to around 30 seconds, and they're already set up on P5. So this has been it was a valiant attempt from Activit, but in the end, just maybe a little lack of comms. We do see trades go back and forth, but right now, Fluxx Esports doing a great job of turning every kill into solid time. But we're still, man, the kill feed is going the way of red every now and then, so plenty of opportunity still for the Activit boys to get in and amongst the points.
Yeah, and we're seeing little glimpses of what the Activit-e roster can actually manage to muster up here, because Ryan won a gunfight there that he probably shouldn't have done, but still spawning over towards that backside of the hill. And with 10 seconds left, it looks as though Luke is just going to be the lone man over towards the rotation as they start to come up through the stairs. But Luke guns down two of them, single file. There's going to be another man in Hunter here, but his teammate in Sean is going to help him out on that occasion and take them down. So Fluxx going to have a lot of control in mid-map. They've got the players set up on the P1, and it's going to be down to Activit-e to try and work their way in. Can Ryan manage to grab another all-important kill? You can see Sean just dicing with death potentially for the time being, but Hunter gets a really big kill, and he might be able to make the play down from the lower side of the map. He's just going to work his way all the way around to try and potentially pinch these guys on the hill. Spots 11. There's one. Looks for the second. On to Sean, and there's a big couple of kills, because that time for Activit-e now, Pablo, every single second that starts to just get away from them is obviously going to really push Fluxx closer to that 200-point mark, and this is really big time for them in this map.
Yeah, they really need to start thinking about P2 now as well, though, because they're going to potentially have one or two players pushing for whatever scrap time they can get. They obviously want to keep Activit as busy as possible on P1, but they're already starting to have a good think about the potential for this P2 hold in the second rotation. Number 3 there, Bearish Corey, already making his way around. He's potentially going to get dealt with now. It's going to be number 6, Motions, who's got that opportunity. He does take him down, so a good opportunity now for the team in red to get this mid-map control and get this P2 control, and that could bring them within 20 seconds, which is exactly where they are right now. It does look like one player is going to get taken down, so we're going to see this battle over towards mid-boat, and this is going to be a make or break moment, you would suggest, in the game of Activit-e Esports in this series. If they can get some good control, this could be monumental for the team in red.
Perhaps I'm going to drill Activit-e into your brain, because it's not Activate, it's Activit-e.
Oh, it's Activit-e. What a stupid name.
So Activit-e Esports just reducing that lead down to only 15 points now. So the boys of Fluxx are going to try and work their way through. They do have Sean and Snake inside the hill as the boys of Activit-e try and work their way in towards to maybe work a contest here. Only 20 seconds left on the hill, so they're going to have to be careful not to overextend as Luke just shoulders for the time being, and he is going to back Motions down, and his teammate in Ryan, another really big kill coming from Ryan, and he's winning some all-important gunfights, but they've just opened the gate a little bit for 11 to get on towards the hill, and now nades and tacticals alike coming through. He knows that Activit-e are spawning out the back. Can they manage to take him out of this hill, though? Hunter going to try and push through, and Corey, really good work there from up top, just guarding the player, and this is what we talk about all the time. If you can get the man in the hill, and those assault rifle players just watching over the top of him, it's so difficult to break, but Ryan, a really big couple of kills again. He's managed to put himself on a 4 streak here, still hunting for the 5th as his teammates try and force the man outside the hill. Sean's going to be the last man standing, and a really clean break there from Activit-e to get themselves in towards the hill, and all importantly, Pabs, Ryan's now got that glide bomb ready to go.
That's it. We've just seen just the effectiveness. Ryan dropping some absolute bombs as he takes down Snake and gets that glide, and that's going to be, hugely important, as they do need to get control, obviously, not only of this hill where there is still 22 seconds, but they need to get control of the next hill as well, because they've managed, again, we talked about how important it was to get within 10 or 15 seconds of Fluxx Esports, and we see that kill feed going red, so consistently. And look at the kills. We've got Ryan Gray, the kill leader in the entire lobby, on 25 and 17. He's on a 6 next week. Hunter is just behind them. Hunter's been so close to getting glides on a number of occasions, and there he is again, just failing at the final hurdle. But who's there to support them? Ryan goes big. He's on an 8 streak before he gets taken down. So this could be really big, but unfortunately, you know, that's the difference. The guys from Activit-e Esport are able to get like lots of kills in transition, but then they're able to get onto the hill. Fluxx Esports, one team wipe, and they're on the hill. That, unfortunately, right now has been the difference, despite the boys in red having a slender lead.
Yeah, and Ryan, he's using the glide bomb already, trying to get Corey out of this right-hand lane. He is going to drop him, but they're not winning gunfights on the other parts of the map, as Snake now manages to work himself onto a 5 streak, so glide bomb ready for Luke as and when he decides to use it. And the score line at the moment isn't that much of a difference, but it's really starting to go out. But big kill there from Capri. He's still going to be hunting for a few more players that are still around the back. You can see Snake just lurking in the back, but he manages to win another one there. Capri, really good work, and more important time coming through for the boys of Activity. He's not going to win that rotation, but you can see how far pushed out Activity are on the map. They are not letting those arrows get anywhere close towards the hill, so it's going to take them at least around 10 seconds just to even get close to it. Nice work from Capri once again off the spawn. Takes down another player. Corey looks to try and challenge towards the building, and he wins the first gunfight, but the trades are there from Motion, so Activity really starting to push this lead now a little bit further as they try and work their way over towards that 250 point mark. But now, can Fluxx make the break? They've got the streaks as and when they decide to use them, but now it's a case of when they're going to invest them. Luke, top of third, manages to take down one, but that time is really starting to tick in favor of the boys in red, Pablo. Fluxx Esports, they've got to potentially invest something big in here if they're going to try and stop this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a little bit of complacency just went into the gameplay of Fluxx Esports. They looked so in control, you know, they had good rotations and absolutely, you know, nailed the rhythm of the game, but they've completely lost in the last few kills, and in particular coming under the gun of Ryan Gray and maybe Hunter as well, who've had a particularly good game. He's on a minute with 25 and 23, and Ryan Gray absolutely slaying at 33 and 22. And, you know, they eventually ticked over and been able to get a handful of seconds off each hill, and that's put them in this position. But again, they haven't really had a monumental P1 in any of the other 2 rotations, so now is this big opportunity. They need to get control of this P1 if they want to see this game out and potentially go 1-0 up, and it looks like they've done it. But number 1 there, just look, 11 is just waiting mid-map, looking to try and get that control, and he's going to be able to feed out comms more importantly, so the rest of the team should have an idea what it is. But 10 seconds, Major, just stands between Activit-e Esport and going 1-0 up against, you know, one of the best sides in the EU.
Oh, I tell you what, I think that's done. 5 seconds remain. Nobody's near the hill, so Activity are going to cause a hell of an upset here in map number 1. 250 to 222. Activity coming out with a really big statement, and this is the thing that we spoke about, Pabs, that they needed to do. They needed to take the map 1 to get some form of momentum up against Fluxx, and to be fair to them, they've managed to do it. They're now 1-0 up.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, they did a good job of limiting Fluxx Esports in terms of the kind of glides and that kind of air ordnance control. But you've just got to look. Ryan Gray, 28 untraded kills. His kills per hill were 3.3, the highest in the lobby. You know, had an absolutely awesome game. Really coming to life towards the latter part of that second rotation and completely, you know, dominating the rest of the hill, supported by Hunter, who also was getting really important 2 pieces. The first, you know, they did hang in terms of gun skill in the first rotation, but they just couldn't convert that to time. A lot of transitional kills, a lot of kind of that stat pattern that we do see, and that's not on purpose, but unfortunately doesn't lead to points. But in the second rotation at the end, and then hitting that first, you know, P1 on the third rotation, they absolutely turned all those kills into time, and it's gone their way. And man, we are seeing the upset that we hoped might happen. We want to see great games and great score lines in this league. Yeah, you know, that might just light the fire, Major, for Fluxx to actually, you know, potentially wake up in this game.
Well, I'll tell you what, now that was a wake-up call for the boys in blue. They're going to have to try and regain here on the Tuscan Search and Destroy. So 250 to 222 if you did miss map number 1. And yeah, I mean, I'd say that's an upset, to be fair to them. So the boys of Activity not to be scoffed at on a map where you would consider a lot of the more experienced teams and the top tier teams, Pablo, to kind of get a lot of control and especially like have a better understanding of the map. But Activit-e Esports, to be fair, obviously Ryan as well, big shout out to him. He put up some really big kills in big moments, and the boys of Activity, they took their chance when they had it, 1-0 up.
Absolutely, mate. And this is the position we love to be in. We like to see the cat among the pigeons doing the cat's work. And right now, it is Activate Esports, or Activity Esports, as they're more commonly known, and everywhere else in the world. Just playing really well and doing a great job. And right now, I would expect there's probably an interesting conversation going on in the team speak of Fluxx Esports right now. Just a few scratched heads and stuff. And a Gavutu hardpoint to start things off was, we pointed out is an odd map to choose. It's an outlier map in general. It's one we don't see often in any kind of series. So to have it as a first map, maybe this is a thing for Activity Esports that they're exceptionally proficient on, or they've put a lot of time into. So we're going to get the measure of the team though going into Tuscan S&D. It's obviously going to be, potentially it does level the playing field to an extent, but at the same time, you're probably talking about them going up against a team which we've been made to eat our words before, are very well versed in high level, high pressure S&D. But man, I wouldn't. Again, does anything surprise you anymore?
Not really. I think Vanguard has pretty much thrown most surprises at us, but we're all for it, to be honest. I mean, as neutrals, I mean, if we can get a game 5 out of this one, we are more than happy. And we've seen quite a few of them. Obviously, in Division 2, that throws up quite a lot of close series, and hopefully the same with Division 1. We've had a lot of good series, even if they've not gone game 5. A lot of the maps have been close between some of the teams, even if they were 3-1s and 3-0s. So obviously there's fine margins when you get to kind of this level of Call of Duty. And focusing on the Tuscan Search, as you mentioned, Pabs, this is one where you have a lot of kind of maybe, I suppose, preference for the attacking side. A lot of teams get the bomb down very, very quickly when we see them play on that attacking position. And it's one where a lot of teams do go back and forth between rounds in this one. And we see a lot of round 11s, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see, Tuscan, as I say, I mean, S&D and Vanguard's been kind of like that anyway. It's almost like the way we treat Bocage Hardpoint. There's almost a kind of, it removes the skill to an extent. But, I mean, at this level, you would expect to see someone like Fluxx Esports, at least start to turn the heat up. But, again, there's only so many different ways you can play in terms of strategy. And it is going to be first blood to Fluxx Esports. And, again, we talk about the importance of first bloods on the maps that are maybe larger than Bocage, and that is going to go the way of Fluxx Esports, Major, who get an early advantage in this game.
Yeah, and first blood comes through. Fluxx, they drop 3 players, so now it's them on the man who had a brilliant map 1 in Ryan Gray. He gets taken down in a very efficient round there from Fluxx Esports, and obviously after that map 1, Pabs, they're going to be looking to try and assert back again their kind of that expectation and dominance from these boys, and they've done it in a really clean round there in the first one. Didn't drop a life, all 4 players down, and bomb down, pretty much did everything perfectly.
Yeah, and one statistic to look at, and we saw it in Team Ricochet yesterday, is they won't have a lot of non-traded kills against them. They will be there for the trades. Their comms are going to be on point. They move quite quickly. They move as a unit as well, so particularly in S&D, you would expect them to have some pretty fluid strategies. But they're going to need to go big. Ryan Gray's going to need to be very tasty with this sniper. Be ready for the drag scope. He completely predicts the wrong corner and gets absolutely bellied by 11, and it is going to be 3 lives to 2 as 2 players do fall for Activity Esports. Motions and Ryan Gray going to be going into the next round, and they're going to be joined by Snake and Sean as well. So it's a 1v2 Major, and now 1v1, brother.
Yeah, he's just got to play the time here as Corey. Got to play this smart. 24 seconds. He's going to run straight in towards number 8 Hunter, who's going to come through on the greatest one, and Corey is going to manage to grab that defuse. So the boys of Activity, they get the bomb plant. But Corey just plays it really well, works himself through Church, manages to grab the final kill onto Hunter, and gets the defuse as well. And a quick shout as well to Mr. SPWBK. What a man with the raid. Thank you very much, brother. But a good round coming through from the boys of Fluxx, Pablo, and so far pretty standard and pretty textbook from these boys as you'd come to expect in Search.
Man, would you want to come up with a one-on-one reaction against Bearish Corey? Because that is a man who's quick and accurate, and he just absolutely bodies in Church there. He's on a 3-0 Major, so he's only a handful off the glide. He's joined by 11, who's on a 4-1. Right now, you would suspect that Luke probably needs to get involved with the game, and that's exactly what Activity Esports don't want right now. Quite happy to see Luke on the 0-1. If that changes, though, you would suspect that Fluxx Esports are going to get a true grip on this game. And again, you've just got to look at the quickness and the gun skill of the boys in blue. Just really, really good. They just go through butter. They go through Activity Esports, like butter even. And they get the words right at some point. And this is what we talk about traded kills. You know, Ryan Gray able to drop a player with a headshot, immediately bodied by Bearish Corey. We do see the trade finally go down, albeit quite slow. He's not going to check his corners, though, which is, you know, you just can't justify that at this level. You need to be checking your corners, and he's going to get taken in the front of church in 3-0, and you would suspect that Fluxx Esports, mate, are going through the gears right now.
Yeah, that was a bit of good fortune and a bit of obviously making your good timing there. I think it might have been Corey again that pushed all the way through not through bottom church, sorry. I think he pushed through maybe P5 or the jump up, but he managed to slip through, obviously grab the kill top church, pushes his way around and gets the kill onto Ryan as well. So at the moment, Fluxx, they are really making their own fortune here. 3-0 up at the moment, and they don't look as though they're slowing down anytime soon. So let's see if Snake can manage to get himself off the donut. Nade over the top onto Ryan. Might be able to at least get a hit marker. He's not going to be able to on that occasion, but look at Hunter. He's getting really aggressive, but unfortunately, it's going to be over-aggressive there as 11 makes him pay. He just knows he's there as he runs past him, gets the kill, and now motions with the chow. They know he's here, but it's now 2 versus 4. He's going to manage to get a big kill to at least take down one, and you can see Sean, the positioning that he's taking. They're looking to try and command some sort of bomb control, but out the back, big kill from Capri as well, so they make it a 2 versus 2, and now Fluxx are just hunting down these remaining players, but Capri is going to manage to fall as Snake manages to take him down, but now on the bomb. If Motions is quick enough here, he might be able to take him off the defuse. He's going to need to try and grab him quickly, but he's going to get the defuse regardless. Oh no, he actually hops off the bomb. Excuse me, I thought he got it. He gets the kill. No! Oh, and he gets 2 as well. Oh, Activit-e. What a round from them boys. They needed that one. 3-1. I thought they got the defuse, but they just hopped off at the last minute, and Motions makes them pay.
Mate, you talk about COD time, and you know there was a play over towards the back of the bomb site where one player gets dropped. I think it's Corey who gets dropped. Not Corey. It couldn't have been Corey. It must have been 11 who got dropped. And he was a player coming round to trade, and the guy just dips just in time. It's Sean who's left kind of like holding the air. He goes to try and get the defuse, and again, they're not there to trade. So we talk about the importance of being there for those you know, non-traded kills. And Fluxx Esports for the first time let themselves down in that regard. And Activit-e Esports take advantage, which is great. This potentially could be a big two-piece, and he gets none. The luck is going the way of the boys in red, Major, and we could be seeing upset after upset right now.
Yeah, they needed a bit of luck after the first few rounds here. Corey still hunting for the kill, but I tell you what, Activit-e, they pulled something out of the bag here. This is going to be their second round in a row, potentially, as it all relies on Snake. Going to try and get the bomb down. I think Motions maybe have heard him. Maybe not. Is he going to check it? He knows where he is now. Spots him as well, so the information surely going to come through. The Snake is lurking. A bit of free running coming through from Luke. He's still going to have to try and protect that all-important bomb. And, oh, there's some really bad timing there, unfortunately, for Luke. He is going to get spotted. They know where he is, but he takes down one. Is he going to manage to dip away with his life as well? He is just about going to get away, but you can see number 6 Motions. He's on the hunt for him. I'm surprised nobody stuck this bomb here. They're just prioritizing chasing him. And if Luke is quick enough here, he might maybe take Hunter off the bomb, but he's got to absolutely leg it. He's got about half a second to react here. He's not going to be able to do it, and they're going to get the defuse pabs and 2 really important rounds for Activit-e Esports.
Well, Luke's making them hunt, that's for sure, running right the way around the map. It was nice for him to dip through mid, just to try and get the eyes on bomb one more time, but unfortunately he's going to get tagged up, and that's going to be a great round in the bank as well for the boys in red, and it's been a superb performance in these last 2 rounds. The Inter have completely changed how they play, completely regained from them first 3, and started to bounce back, and we're just seeing, you know, we saw this kind of to the latter stages of the hard point where Fluxx Esports just started to play with a little bit of complacency, or whether there's a communication issue or whatever's happening, but you know, they seem to be getting halfway through or potentially partway through a map and just seem to fall off. So good opportunity for Activit-e Esport to kind of take control of that. It does potentially going to be a problem as they stack heavy towards the B site, and they're going to get absolutely dropped, and it's going to be a 2v4 Major with Motions and Ryan last alive.
So now what can Motions and Ryan try and pull out the bag here? It looks as though Motions is going to have to play this slow. Luke. Oh, man. Talk about reactions. Opens the door, closes them, and just beams him through it. So now no streak's going to come through there for Motions. And a really big kill from Luke is going to potentially upset the boys of Activit-e in this round number 6. So Ryan now needs the 1 versus 4. We saw him work the magic in that first game, and he's going to manage to get the first pick. So now 1 versus 3. You can see where that bomb is, and you can see where Luke is. He is not going to give him an inch here. Every single second now, he's going to have to try and chow down. And Luke, is he going to spot him? Spots Luke, and he gets a second, actually. So, makes it a 1 versus 2. And the boys of Fluxx aren't necessarily too close to him, but never mind. They spot him, they grab the kill. And just about when you think He might have had a chance in that round. He's going to get cut down, Pabs, and Fluxx impress again. Once again, they push that lead out back to 2 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows how difficult it is to kind of like, once you do recollect the bomb and you're in that kind of odd position of no man's land between the 2 bomb sites, obviously going towards A does lend problems because there are a number of, quite elevated positions that you have to check before you're going to push through. Obviously, you've got Fire, you've got Top Church, you've got Broken, so they become quite problematic in terms of just trying to, especially under pressure. So again, just a problem moment it's a solution that can't be really solved. You've either got to slay out or get lucky. Activate, unfortunately, not going to get lucky and go 2 rounds down. And right now, Fluxx Esports are looking very good for the money. But again, Activate just seem to, Activity even just seem to come to life. And it's never going to happen. I'm never getting that right. Activit-e Esports. And they make us eat our words again as they go and take a round with some aplomb, again with a little bit of aggression. But yeah, I might just call them, the boys in red.
Team Red, yeah. You need one of those meditation tapes, Paz, when you go to bed that just says activity, activity, activity. And then
because I ever say that, it's like activity.
Well, I'm not too opposed to that. I mean, I don't know if the
I'm not saying activity every time. That'll become a channel point thing then.
Yeah. Every time they cast, it'll be like 1,000 channel points to hear Pablo say activity. So now, activity. Looking to try and work their way back into the game again. So now only trailing by 1. And the nades. Motion's going to do well to stay alive in that one. There is going to be a nade that lands right pucker on his head, but he gets the bomb down. But the first blood is going to be Sean that grabs it, and he's going to work a bit of a pinch here. You can see Ryan is just watching out the back here. But is he going to spot Sean at the right time? He is, and he takes him down. So big kill to come through. And now with Snake still lurking in church, they might be relying on him to try and grab a pick. Motions has been spotted, but oh, holy beams. He manages to snap straight onto Luke and takes him down. So it's now going to be on Corey and 11. 11 flies around the corner, manages to take down 1, and now 1 versus 1 up against Motions. Is he going to manage to get some good timing here? Motions chows at the right time, and they tie it up, Pabs. Activity. They managed to get another important round, and this looks like this is going down to the wire.
Man, Activit-e Esport and making us eat our words. It's absolutely insane plays right now, and some unbelievable kind of movement as well. You saw run through Church, he avoids going through the side door, comes right the way around Chapel, and absolutely completely confounds, I think it might have been Snake, Top Church or Sean, and totally destroys him. So, awesome play, great movement, and great map knowledge, and they brought it back to 4-all, and you would suspect that Activit-e Esport would be able to go on and potentially cause another surprise, man. Are we going to be eating our words one more time? Hopefully not too many E's this time, but yeah, it's looking very good so far for the boys in red. And again, almost a repeat of the first map.
Yeah, and Hunter has managed to work his way into mid, but Fluxx, they get 2 important kills. And Motions is going to be a busy boy now. He gets taken down, but now on the flank is Hunter. How many can he grab? Shoots quite preemptively to take down 1. He's going to go for the second onto 11, and 11 shuts the door straight in his face. So Fluxx going to reply with a round of their own once again. 5-4 up now, and you'd anticipate Pabs being in this position. They would probably see this one out, but put nothing past Activity the way they're going at the moment. It would not shock me if we see a round 11 in this one.
Man, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a round 11 this game. If we see this 10th round just end in a handful of seconds and a flurry of bullets, and Activit-e Esports, they're able to just absolutely dominate this round. It would not surprise me. This game so far has been absolutely wild. It's gone against expectation and confounded us one more time as casters and analysts. And we are we're used to having our bellies full of our own words, but today, man, we are just being made to eat them by the truckload. So huge moment right now. Fluxx, you would suspect, are going to have the gunny to be able to do this, but right now, the boys in red are just being absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, the only thing now is that they've given up quite a lot of control to the boys of Fluxx over towards that broken side, so it's going to be really difficult to Motions, who's got the short straw in trying to plant the bomb here. 11 is just going to be keeping an eye on the bomb, and as and when Motions tries to stick this down, it's going to be really difficult for him to stay alive. He goes for the chow, and Motions wins ones that he probably shouldn't be able to, but now Sean looking for the trade will manage to grab one, and he manages to get out, and that is the difficulty that the boys of Activity have put themselves into. But Snake manages to get a really important kill. They're looking for more though, and nice shots coming through from Corey now to leave the boy in Hunter. Last man up. 1 versus 3 required here, otherwise Fluxx are going to tie up the series. Has Snake spotted him? Or I think they know he's here now. The shots come through. Snake's going to dip out and just reposition, but looking for the beams here is Hunter, but he's not going to manage to get them on that occasion. And Fluxx Esports do what we anticipate, Pabs. They tie up the series in the search and destroy.
Not quite in the plum or the style that we thought they'd do it in, though, Major. Made an absolute meal of it. 6-4. I don't think, after map 1, maybe we may have called a tighter game, but prior to map 1, I think we would have been surprised right there. And you would have to say, a good performance across the board from every player, making that a really interesting game. And at times, Activit-e, whatever you want to call them, looking really good on S&D. I don't know why I'm having such a problem. Activit-e eSport, but at the end of the day, it's Fluxx who come good and look strong. Again, though, we're going into control, and we're left in this really odd position of not really being able to call it outside of going with history, or going with the bookmakers kind of mindset and thinking like, oh, Fluxx should definitely win this. Well, we've been made to eat our words once. We were very close to being made to eat our words twice. So I'm going to leave it to you to plant the flag tonight, Major, for map 3.
I think if I'm putting money on it, I'm going Fluxx, to be honest. I think map 1, as good as Activit-e did, I think that was just a bit of a wake-up call to poke the bear, really, to say to Fluxx, right, okay, you can coast, but you can't coast as comfortably as you're probably thinking you could. Because they did look very, very efficient in the search. Obviously, they dropped the rounds from time to time, but when they looked very decisive in what they were doing, they did seem to put themselves in positions where you don't tend to see a lot of teams do. Obviously, that overextension on the defensive side to get control of top broken in that final round. You don't really tend to see a lot of teams do that, and I think that's kind of the difference that we tend to see with these kind of top 16, top 8 teams. They're very comfortable in being confident in their strats and getting control of areas of the maps that other teams aren't used to doing. So obviously control now at the moment is a bit kind of like up in the air with how much we've seen of it. But yeah, if I'm a betting man, I'm going with Fluxx, but I am happy to be made to eat my words once again, as it happens all the time with us, as you know all too well.
Major, if we're going to go with animal analogies, it does appear that Snake has slithered his way into round 3, a 1-all, and if there is one bear that has been thoroughly poked and we expect to see some good things from it, is going to be Bearish Corey, who we have cast over before. He's had a solid series so far, if not too spectacular. We do expect him to pick up, and this is probably a great opportunity for him now. I think we've seen him go big in Berlin, but now it's time to go off in Gavutu, so hopefully he's going to have a really good game. We're going to get to see the better kind of level of play that we're used to him seeing. But again, I would expect the boys in red, but however you want to pronounce the name, Activit-e, Activate, they need to activate themselves right now, and if they want to continue in this series, and hopefully we're going to see another great game in this ACCL Super League.
Yeah, so we are now loading in towards Tuscan control, and as mentioned, Pabs, this is kind of one thing that we expect Fluxx to maybe have a little bit more knowledge than maybe some of the other teams that we tend to see. Obviously, Activit-e with the players that they've got on that roster, it wouldn't surprise me if they're very, very structured at this, because we've only really seen kind of a little bit of control so far. But even in the early stages, this is kind of the experimental side really for teams to try and work out new things. Even in these games like in ACCL, you see a lot of teams trying new strats, trying new things from time to time. Obviously, scrims is the ideal place to do it, but with the way that control is at the moment and kind of how fresh it still is in the game modes, it wouldn't surprise me if we see something completely out of the blue from either of these teams that just happens to work very well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's probably not a great deal you can do that's ultimately very fresh in terms of this A zone. Obviously, it becomes that kind of battle. We do see a lot of teams just try and flank. You can see number 8 Hunter is going to go on a particularly predictable flank. He is going to be able to get a couple of kills. So Fluxx Esports probably just letting themselves down a little bit, concentrating quite heavily on a fire across to their opposition spawn point. But right now, you do see the kill feed just go back to being blue as we say that. They transition really quickly. They're going to be set up quite nicely, but right now, Activit-e just absolutely doing absolute bits in terms of Gunny. They're just going off. They're staying toe-to-toe with them. Right now, you've got Luke on an 0-3, you've got Ryan on an 0-2, and the rest of the players are going off. In fact, you would suggest that right now, if it wasn't for Sean and Bearish Corey, this could be, quite a blowout right now. At 1:52, they were able to turn that A zone over quite quickly, but we know from experience just how much more difficult this is. And right now, the boys in red have done a reasonably good job of just pinning them back, and they're going to be at this point again. Look, you've got number 8 Hunter. He's going to be in that bottom stairs section. Actually, I think it was motions, so a big moment for him if he's going to be able to get any kills. He does get dropped, so one more break on the way from the team in blue, Major.
Yeah, so still 1:30 on the clock, but you can see Hunter's getting really aggressive here into bottom of P5, and if they don't check this, he might be able to grab a few of them here. There's a few of them right around the corner. How many can he grab? Oh, never mind, none of them. Corey just snaps right onto his forehead. doesn't give him an inch and takes him down. And now Motion's still working what could be a potential pinch here. He's just lurking in top radio, and he's going to grab the attention of Corey, who's still underneath him. Nades come through, though. Is he going to check underneath him? Corey's going to get taken down, so there's another kill from Motions, and Hunter grabs one. Ryan and Capri grab the rest, and Activit-e hold on for the time being. So with 1 minute on the clock here, it might be the time that maybe gets the better of the boys of Fluxx. They do have that glide bomb of Sean to try and work behind if they do get the chance. But now Ryan in middle map. Nice shots, takes down Bearish. Corey in that engagement. There's still a few more players nearby as they try and get some sort of mid-map control, but the pistol out isn't going to be enough on that occasion. And the boys in red now going to have to be a little bit careful here. Perhaps they can't obviously afford to overextend too much, but if they get the pinch here, like potentially Capri might manage to work it. It looks as though they've held another wave of players, and this is getting a little bit dangerous now for Fluxx.
Yeah, 30 seconds on the clock, and they've had 2 unsuccessful breaks. You know, Snake on a big flank. He spent a lot of time in quite a passive moment, and then finally gets tagged up. So, you know, the other 3 players from Activit-e Esports doing really, really well to hold them back. Activit-e Esports, sorry. And again, we see that kill feed go in the way of the team in red, who've had an absolutely monumental performance so far. And with 11 seconds, you would suggest that the team in blue, Fluxx, are just a little bit too far out to even get a toe on the hill. And number 6 is going to be their Motions, just to cause as many problems in that transition as possible. And with 1 second remaining, you know, they've made us eat our words again, and it's going to be Activit-e Esports who managed to get 1 round on the board. We saw this yesterday, though. We did see our team, you know, our lesser team go too open and get absolutely dominated in the last 3 rounds. So again, this game's completely up in the air, but hats off right now to the team in red.
Yeah, so nice work from Activit-e as they managed to take the opening round, and it was a round where Fluxx, they took that first point so quickly. You were thinking, oh no. And then they got a wave of kills over towards the B point. But Activit-e, to be fair, they stabilized and they managed to come through the other end of it. So really good work there from those boys. And more importantly, Ryan's now on a 4 streak. So we'll stay on board with him and see if he can get that all-important 5th kill. It looks as though the A site is going to be the site of choice. And it's almost, it feels like perhaps as if Fluxx almost giving them this site and trying to maybe work something last minute, because the first tick and the second tick is now pending. It's coming through very, very quickly, as we've come to expect on this A point.
Yeah, and they've just fed Motions more easy kills as well. This is going to be a problem. Finally does manage to deal with Ryan Gray, so he is going to fall off that 4 streak. But again, very passive play from Fluxx, who you corrected. It almost looked like they just said, yeah, you know, have point A. Very dangerous game to play when you're against a team who are absolutely destroying kids like that. Hunter absolutely going off. I don't know whether he was able to get a streak and all of that, but he was able to get 2 monumental kills. But again, very passive play from the team in blue, who are putting themselves under an incredible amount of pressure against a team they must know by now can go toe-to-toe for kills. So very strange play. Luke on a 4 and 10 right now. You would suspect that again 11 on a 3 and 12. He's quadruple negative right now from a player who's been finishing consistently in the top 10 teams in the EU. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, he's really struggling at the moment, 11. So you feel if he starts to get up to steam, and Luke does as well, this is where they'll get the momentum. But another kill comes through for Capri. He's looking for more. But Corey, we've seen how electric he is on the map sometimes. He's such a fast-paced player. Capri is going to manage to grab the trade, and Luke is going to be there to help him out. And now, calm before the storm, potentially. You can see number 7 in Ryan has been lurking over towards that far corner of the map for an absolute eternity. He's not budging. I'm not entirely sure if it's just maybe to try and benefit spawns, but Motions and Hunter get some kills, and Ryan finally comes through with one. That patience finally plays off for him. And now with 8 lives in the good, Activit-e, they are looking very, very strong on this control at the moment. Hunter is going to get taken down, so it will be down to potentially Capri to try and grab at least one. He's going to get the first. Is he looking for the second? On to 11. There's another couple of kills coming through from Capri, and he is having an absolute stormer of a map, Pablo. And now the boys of Fluxx, they're panicking because, oh my god, Capri is just snapping onto everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be able to miss at the minute. Absolutely going off. He's on a 4 streak, and he's just able to predict everything. He's on a 5. He's got the glide, and this could potentially be huge problems for Fluxx Esports. 1 tick already over at this incredibly difficult B zone to get. 1.5 ticks, we would suggest. Normally, you would do this in 2 chunks, but right now they are looking solid, and it's going to take a big effort from players who are not having great games right now. They are not doing well. Unfortunate then, as it is going to be Ryan just comes off the ADS and just gets tagged up. And it's going to be a few kills on the board, and right now that's been a solid defense. They're not even going to look to drain that B back. They just want to get another defense. But 2 players last alive in a 2v12 with 22 seconds. You would suggest that Activit-e Esports going to be able to take this, and this is going to be a huge moment, though. We do see 3 players fall, so they've managed to bring this to a 2v10, but Major, you would suggest this is too little, too late.
I'll tell you what, though, they've got the kill. Somebody needs to touch the hill. Hunter has to go here. They've got 7 seconds remaining. The glide bomb's going to force them inside. They know roughly where they are, but these next kills are going to be huge. If they can manage to grab the next couple, this might be the danger part here. If they clear Hunter off the point, there's only 6 seconds left, so they know where the players are going to be coming from. And Corey is managing to grab kills. So now can Sean get the kills? He takes down 1. There's still another man on the hill. Capri's just doing his best to delay, and all that effort isn't going to come through for anything. Activit-e, they do take the round, but only just, Pablo, in a position where it looked as though they were so strong. The boys in blue almost managed to pinch that off of them.
Yeah, great movement again from Fluxx Esports, just to make that really uncomfortable for them, and just to up the pressure, maybe, and remind the team in red who they're playing against. But 2-0 right now, they are 1 round away from going 2-1 up in this series. That is a position we did not think we were going to be in going into this game. We were like, it's going to be a 3-0. This is great experience for the team in red. Well, I tell you right now, it's a quality experience for Fluxx Esports, because they have been over complacent, they've been slow, and right now their gun skill has been appalling. They really got 2 players hugely on the struggle bus. I mean, they are driving this bus around Tuscany, and they're able to get A. They did this last time and weren't able to get B. And again, we're seeing the kill feed go red, and it's starting to look ominously like a bot kill feed right now. And Fluxx Esports with a ton of work to do, and it doesn't look like they've got the energy to do it.
Yeah, so more kills coming through from the boys in red. 1 round away from this one, and 11 nice kills. Manages to grab a couple as he tries to get some form of positivity going here, and he will get taken down by Hunter there, so he punishes him once again. Capri, another kill coming through from him. 23 and 10 at the moment. And more shots coming through from Corey. Isn't going to grab the kill on that occasion as he gets tagged up a little bit. But Capri, look at the aggression. He is just throwing himself at every engagement at the moment. And Activit-e, they still have a 6-man advantage in lives. Can they manage to make them pay here? Nice shots from Sean. Shuts down Capri on that occasion. Hunter's going to manage to grab a kill, and so too will Motions as they combine for 3. So really good work again from Activit-e. The leads are coming through, and look at the aggression, Pablo. They are pushing straight through the front of the map. They want to get this done now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's a legit strategy. Get as much information, but look what's happened. They've had the players spawn out into mid-map, and that's going to throw the cat among the pigeons. They're not going to be ready for him, and it's going to be number 4, Luke, who's going to be there and just going to be pushing through to just scope out what's going on. And look at that's going to leave number 5, Capri, who has had an amazing game so far. Right now, holding the fort, and he's doing it admirably. And that other team are just going to push around on that kill feed again, red. And number 1, 11, is just sat in the back. He's absolutely doing nothing. He's been, completely useless on that back tank. And again, it's been a great defense from Activit-e Esports, and it's just mind-blowing. We're watching a team that has consistently done well in 2Ks and good tournaments, and right now they just look all at sea, completely, confounded by the strategy and play of Activit-e Esports. I'm mind-blown right now.
And this is the thing where you kind of say, right, well, obviously the boys of Activit-e, they know how to play control, because they are doing a really good job against one of the top teams in Europe, you would say, in the boys of Fluxx. But now Streak's going to come through from Sean. He knows the importance of this round. It's game or nothing here in this round here. With 15 seconds left, they're going to have to be quick. More streaks are being invested. Corey's using his as well, so he takes down Ryan, but now they're down to 4 lives, so they're going to have to be so efficient. But the pistol of Snake manages to get that all-important kill. And they do now get on the B point, but they're going to have to be careful because Motions is working a pinch here, and he might potentially be able to upset a few more players. He manages to catch out Sean with some good timing, and now those red arrows working in. Oh, the nade! Oh my god, Corey uses their nade against them, throws it back, gets the kill, but Ori's effort's going to be enough here as Hunter manages to take down 1. It's all on Corey. The man is on a mission. He's going to get taken down, and what a statement, Pabs, from Activit-e Esport. They take the round, they take the map 3-0, and now they lead the series once again.
Man, take my brain out of my skull because it has gone to mush. I am completely confounded there. Huge plays by the team in red, and I'm sure, Activit-e Esports are sat feet up laughing. 2-1 in the series. But man, what a statement game right there. 3-0, dominated throughout, and they made Fluxx Esports look like an amateur hour Call of Duty team. Unbelievable performance, and two players you've got to look to right there. 11 and Snake himself having a dramatically poor game, and they're going to be heading into a Bocage hardpoint 2-1 down against a team that can go toe-to-toe with them for kills. And I mean, this is probably going to be, you know, Activit-e Esports, you know, most difficult game. It's going to be, you know, they're going to be going into their other games potentially with a lot of confidence. If they take this Bocage hardpoint, that is the cat thrown well among the pigeons.
So guys, map number 4. We go from one bit of madness into an even bigger bit of madness. Bocage hardpoint is going to be map number 4, and we'll see now whether the boys of Activit-e Esport can take another respawn here off of Fluxx Esport and potentially cause what is going to be the biggest upset that we've seen anyways, Pabs, in the Super League so far. Obviously, it's still early days, but this will be a huge statement from the boys in red if they can come out on top of this one.
It's huge. This is I don't know. It's no win. It's definitely bigger than, say, F. Dot and Smudge taking Looty's team on, because at least they had Aroma and Johnny W. This is 4 players that haven't come out of nowhere, but definitely come out of, you know, what you would consider to be the sub-comp, and absolutely. But it's not even close games in most cases. They've really dominated that control. They look super confident going into S&D, and they obviously in particular look great as well. They went toe-to-toe in that Gavutu. So right now it's crazy plays, and we talked about, you know, the team, have they got the right chemistry? Are they going to be able to trade effectively? Well, it looks like they can do everything really well, because that was one of the most dominant performances we've seen from any team in the control so far. Crazy plays. Fluxx Esports with an awful lot to do. Potentially we're going to go all the way, Major, to a map 5, but at the rate that you know, Activit-e Esports are playing, you know, we could see Bocage hardpoint. We could see the graves of 4 Fluxx players being erected in field right now, because that's been a hell of a performance so far.
Yeah, so 2-1 for the boys in red as we get lobbied up in towards map number 4. And I'm just checking with the players, because I saw a lot of people pointing fingers about auto tac sprint, and I believe it is banned in the Super League. So I did just ask the question as to anyone using ATS, and they have just said no one's using it. So not sure. I mean, that's down to the players, and then obviously the admin and that, if they want to look over certain things. Obviously we're just here to watch the game and enjoy it, Pabs. And I mean, regardless of that specific thing, obviously we'll try not to focus on that now as we get in towards map number 4. But regardless, Activit-e Esport at the moment, I mean, you give us a attack sprint, I don't think we'd get a kill against these lot regardless. So it's one where now, looking into map 4, favourites, I mean, from the way it's been going so far, I've been banging the Fluxx Esports drum, but after those respawns, they look very good.
Man, I made you plant your flag, and you were talking about money, so
yeah.
You've got. I'm going to send you my PayPal, because
man,
that is an insane praise. But no, it is right though. No, people can point things out in the chat, but we do tend to stay on the positive side of things. Yeah. I'm probably the person that bashes players more, but we do try and stay positive, and obviously we've got a little bit more freedom to be in terms of like absolute honesty in the ACCL. When we move over to something like challenges, we tend to be super positive and not bash players too much.
Yeah.
But right now, you mean, you've got to look to Fluxx. They haven't had a great performance. 11 and Snake didn't play particularly well. They have obviously got capabilities way beyond what they're playing at the minute, and if they do turn the gears up and suddenly find that kind of form you expect them to have, it probably will be a different game. But regardless, I mean, you're quite right to point out, like, trying to get this team scrubbed on the basis of using ATS. Great, if you're a great player, you're probably going to be able to get an advantage against other great players. But you know, you put that on. If I said to these 4 guys, you're going to win against Fluxx Esports and you can use ATS, David would have been like, I don't think it's going to have a huge advantage for us. But I don't know. It's wild plays. Regardless, they played really well, and regardless of their ability to potentially, you know, get to positions or whatever, in a much smoother and much easier fashion, they've done really well with what they've done so far, and they've had really good plays. And not just that, they've been, you know, their positioning, their movement in general in terms of the places they've taken up have been really good. They've confounded Fluxx Esports, but again, we are into this wild map which could potentially go either way, and we know it'll probably be quite close.
Yeah, so in towards map number 4 we go. Obviously the P2 control and battles already underway, and the pistol coming out there from Luke isn't going to be enough on that occasion as the trades come through. Capri, the man who had such a good map in the previous one. He's looking to try and get some more momentum here in map number 4, but this is the all-important, non-existent hill, isn't it, Pabs, where we talk about P1. It's one where I think it's now the norm and the meta for people to literally bun it off. It feels odd if a team gets anything more than 20 seconds on this hill.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent to P1 on Raid. Obviously, everything was about getting settled for kitchen. This is almost the same. You know, it's a nonsense hill. It's very difficult to hold. You can't play your life on it. You know you're going to get traded out or at least killed almost off the rip. So there tends to be a lot of focus between, you know, just trying to get some time on it, 10, 20 seconds on it, and then getting settled for tin. And we've seen that, you know, effectively Activit-e Esports being able to kind of get settled from the front, but that is going to allow the team in blue to kind of push from the left-hand side, but that's going to make it really difficult. And right now, you just saw number 3, Bearish Corey. He had to think about pushing on and was like, nah, probably not, and then gets tagged up in Barnes. So again, this one is a pretty decent one to hold if you have got good positions, but Snake goes and shows you what he can do with his AR as he absolutely bonnets the kids in there, but he's not been able to push them off, and they've had to scrub that, and they're now down by 40 seconds, which is an unenviable lead in Bocage hardpoint. And again, make the team in red doing absolute wonders.
Yeah, nice shots out the back from 11. It's not going to be enough to get the kill onto Hunter. It will make him incredibly weak as those guys are going to now try and battle for the rotation over towards that bottom Granny's Hill, and more gunfights coming through as 11 doesn't make any mistake about that one. Manages to take Ryan down. He's going to look for a second onto Capri, but the man who's been so good in respawns manages to come through once again already. 18 engagements from him, currently leading the line. And every single gunfight at the moment seems to be going in the favour of Activit-e, but now Sean is going to take down one. Corey grabs another kill as well, and Sean out the back. Nice couple of kills come through from him, and those blue arrows are starting to fly a little bit now, and the momentum in the kill feed is all blue as Sean is now one away from a glide bomb, and he can't quite manage to get the 5th in a row for the streak, but really good work there from him, at least in the short term, Pabs, and they're managing to claw this lead back little by little.
Yeah, and again, it's been almost like death by 1,000 cuts, but we're starting to see that kill feed going ever so slightly blue, and that's an ominous sign for the boys in red, as it does look like the guns are very much on point for Fluxx Esports. We're starting to see kills across the board from the likes of Snake, from the likes of Bearish Corey, but more importantly, 11 and Sean also getting in. 11 still a little bit off the action, but he's doing the one thing he needs to do, which is get some time. And right now, they've pulled this back to within 23 seconds, and that kill feed major, most importantly, is still very blue. And right now, you would suggest that Activit-e Esports just taking the foot off the gas a little bit, or just having some more problems with positioning. But again, this map is wild, and we would expect them to bounce back into this game at some point, particularly with the way they've been playing in this series.
Ooh, an 11, there you go. He's arrived to the party now. Him and Snake combining for 6. Snake is just going to fall one short of a glide yet again, so I don't believe any team has got streaks. No, so every single player has just fallen short so far when we've seen them go on streaks. And Razzle with the follow. Thank you very much, buddy. But now, really good work here from 11 as he's now 4 in a row. Can he make it 5 onto Capri? Oh, he's getting shots into him. He's so one shot. Oh, but Capri, there you go. There's confidence for you. Flies straight round the corner and wins a gunfight that he probably shouldn't do. Unfortunately for 11, he's going to get cut down just short of streaks again. So I believe he's the 3rd, maybe 4th player that we've seen who's just fallen short of that all-important 5th kill. But now, can Fluxx manage to hold this hill? This is one of the more kind of controlling hills that we tend to see from the more confident teams, Pablo, especially with the automaton player on this map. Obviously, this is where they can really kind of come into their own. Those hills which are very, very close-knit, there's not really a huge amount of control they can have. But with a player like Luke locking down lanes in this next hill, it's going to be difficult for the boys of Activit-e to work their way through at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be a good opportunity for Fluxx Esports to try and get some time, but again, probably a little bit too kind of aggressive and just moves off his tank position where he was able to watch over. Probably just trying to get a bit of more geography behind them than in front of them so that they can push out. Again, one thing that surprised me, 11, very kind of motionless player. He gets tagged up by Capri and Barn in that fight, didn't move, and Capri is all over him. So movement definitely of the paramount for the boys in red. And right now, Fluxx Esports have got the slight advantage, but right now as well, you would consider that there's still some gas in the tank from Activit-e Esports Activit-e Esports to be able to push back. It is only a slender lead in terms of what you can achieve on Bocage, but again, they do need to maintain a contest. They're going to need to steal some time. Potentially, Major, you would consider they're going to need to get a good chunk of time on P1 and get very strongly settled for P2, because we know how quickly you can chain kills and let this game run away from you. And when 11 finally starts picking up kills and playing like the player we know he can, this is a worrying time, man.
Yeah, this is where you expect to see the likes of 11 really start to come through in a fast-paced map like Bocage, and he's managing to work a bit of wonders here. He is going to get cut down just a little short of streaks once again. So it will be Fluxx Esports on the rotation with 5 seconds left for that new hill ready to pop. 11 hunting for more. And unfortunately, he is going to get taken down by the man in Hunter on that one. And now, and Sean potentially spot some of those players transitioning over, because there's a few of them looking to try and push from down low. Emotions opens it up with a kill, so all important that Sean manages to check maybe this right-hand side. He is going to spot Ryan Gray, takes down one. He spots Hunter as well, but the trade comes through, and those red arrows maybe with an opportunity to try and punch through the back here. Hunter going to be one of those players as the stuns and nades come through. Corey with a really big engagement win there to take down one. The trades come through, but Motions comes out of absolutely nowhere, grabs 2 in a row. Oh, can't quite grab the third. And it was almost, again, another situation where somebody was about to get streaks, but he wasn't able to on that occasion. And Activit-e now looking to try and get the contest to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. And with 21 seconds still remaining, that's going to be a good opportunity. They are not able to get on, though. It is going to be Activit-e just getting pushed off that P2. So a good opportunity for Fluxx Esports to put some distance finally between themselves and Activit-e Esports. But a good opportunity for maybe the team in red just to up the aggression and get into some CQB fights that they've been prospering throughout the rest of the series. So a good chance for them to just get the gun back up, get the fire back up in the belly. We're seeing the kill feed go back to being red, you know. But rather alarmingly, that's one thing that we haven't seen all game, is 11 go absolutely off. He's 22 and 21, but he has got a solid 1 minute of hill time. So that's exactly the kind of performance we would expect to see in the rest of the series, but finally seeing in this Bocage. And this is potentially, Major, you would suggest, at this point where we're over a full rotations difference between the two teams, which is an innumerable amount when you consider how tight most Bocage games are, that they are going to potentially be heading into a game 5, which is exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, and we've gone from a map where teams haven't been able to practice it to one where teams probably use it as a warm-up map, a practice map, and obviously they scrim it all the time. And Fluxx are really starting to show their experience on this map, as they do manage to hold at least a 50-second lead for the time being, as those blue arrows will try and punch through for more scrap time. But now big engagement on the flank, and Motion's not able to work his way through. Corey just keeping an eye over the top of the hill. There has been a bit of a spawn come through for Capri here, and I'm not sure if they're going to manage to spot him. They will now with all those shots coming through. So big engagements coming through, but 11's on the pinch here. He takes down Motions. There's another player out the back. Ryan's there for the trade, and Snake's going to grab one. Can he grab the second onto Capri? No, he can't. Capri still stays alive. He's had a huge number of engagements. He's not been as instrumental in this Bocage, though, and the lead still standing at around 60 points means that Activit-e, they are still going to really have to try and work their way in towards this hill very aggressively. Snake just holding time, and nice work there to make the reads to take down one. There's going to be another man challing through in Hunter as it gets messy left, right, and center. Kills all over the place, as we come to expect in Bocage. But Fluxx, they still have that lead, Pablo, regardless of how many kills Activit-e are getting. The boys in blue just seem to hold the time.
Yeah, obviously Barn's one of those hills that becomes particularly messy. If you have got teams of an equal good skill, you will see the trades go back and forth as people kind of kill feed the hill. And then this is the real opportunity for both teams, if they can get a solid hold onto this P5, and potentially this could be a big moment. And we're going to see that chase is on. Motions is going to be chasing Luke down. He is going to get that kill, but he's going to need to get that second one as well. He does get tagged up, so number 2, 11, who's having a monumental game, 28 and 28 right now with that. 56 seconds, which hasn't changed now, so he hasn't been getting the kill time. This is going to be a good opportunity. Snake going to invest to try and get some more hill control, but right now it is going to be the boys from Activit-e Esports who are going to be on the hill, and they're going to need to get those challenges in, and they've got spawns as well, so a big moment. But they just seem to be falling like by the wayside right now. They've been absolutely cut apart despite having the spawns. So Fluxx Esports with a really good opportunity to get a huge lead, which is around about 60 seconds right now, and they're potentially going to be able to see that even clearer.
Yeah, and we saw the importance of that scrap time that Activit-e put on that hill, because Capri did reply with a glide bomb of his own, so I don't believe there is any more glide bombs. No, but there is still that strafing run in the back pocket of Capri. And we'll see if he can ultimately use that one on the next subsequent hills. But we go back over towards the P1, and the engagements come through for the boys in red once again. 11 looking to try and maybe grab a trade or two. As his teammate Sean punches through, takes down one, looking for another Emotions, but Emotions is going to grab that all-important kill, and they've still got Hunter on the hill here. And if they can hold a decent amount of time on P1 and that P2 rotation, you can already see that Corey is prioritizing it, as we've come to expect here on Bocage. But if Activit-e keep a man on the hill and keep soaking up the time and potentially work some sort of magic onto that rotation, they will be straight back in this one. But now Fluxx, there's the control, there's the all-important, as I just think gave in the chat, so the word experience sprung to mind, Pablo, with you. they've managed to pull on every single bit of experience and every single bit of talent that they've got to hold that P2 rotation. But saying that, number 8 Hunter and Ryan out the back, they've got the early rotation for the time being. They just need to try and hold it.
Yeah, they're going to need a full hold on this. They were particularly slack, kind of went off the boil a little bit on P1. Allowed Bearish Corey to just run through, and then, you know, it's taken them another big effort to try and get the kills and get the spawns, and the fight's going to go out. Ooh. And it is going to be number 3 Bearish Corey who manages to body Ryan Gray in the back, and that's going to be advantage to Fluxx Esports. And again, they're going to be bringing in that ordnance, going to be trying to push out number 3. Don't think he's seen that player, and unfortunately the glide only going to connect with Ryan Gray, so boys in red are going to still spawn out, but they need to get these kills. And right now Fluxx Esports just dominating. And who is the player we pointed out at the beginning? 11. He's gone absolutely off. 35 and 33. You know, maybe not playing his life as effective as he would have liked to, but he's got a minute in the hill, and it's going to be, you know, as close as it could get. 24 seconds remaining. Who's there at the end? 11. Is he going to be able to get onto the hill though? No, it does look like they're going to potentially have to either do one big push or get this fight over in Granny's Major. What a wild, you know, Bocage is insane, let's face it.
Yeah, Capri's going to have to go absolutely enormous here, because he's got so many players around him, and the hill is literally just about to pop. So as well as they did on that hill, all it takes is somebody to get in towards the hill. Sean going to be betted by the window for the time being, but the trades come through, and Fluxx do manage to win it on the rotation. So we are going to go towards that all-important Game 5, Pabs. And the way this series has gone, I mean, throw your predictions out the window, because we've seen a little bit of everything from both of these teams.
Yeah, you know, you've got to consider as well that not only have we seen absolute performances across the board from every player, you know, but both teams going at it in this game, you would suggest that, but that's a reasonable score difference for Bocage. Normally see them quite close, so Fluxx exerting their muscles a little bit in that game. But you've got to consider as well, going into this crazy S&D. Now we go from these high-flying kind of maps where the pace is 100 miles an hour, and then we hit the brakes consistently in Desert Siege as we go into probably one of the slowest paced maps in the game. And Search and Destroy is definitely one that we've seen early doors was putting the cat among the pigeons, but again, can we call it? Probably not. It was 6-4, pretty close in Tuscan, in a map that you would have expected Fluxx to be very dominant on, but Desert Siege proves a slightly different proposition in terms of tactics, in terms of strategy, and then we're looking for the you know, the dominant sniper plays that we've seen across the board. We saw it a little bit in Tuscan, but yeah, it is going to be super interesting. And, you know, just to clarify, when we talk about experience, I know I got it down the neck, but we were talking about a player who played challenges, teaming with a player who was 17. So in terms of an experience disparity, there is quite a little bit there.
Yeah, and just a quick notification as well, guys. The boys of Fluxx, they want this done kind of challenger style, so we are going to have to block the minimap. Unfortunately, on this one, everyone's no, Pablo. It's your love-hate relationship with amateur.
Blocked minimap just makes the color casting just so much fun.
Yeah, so we are unfortunately going to have to sort out X-rays and map blocks. But yeah, we now go from an absolute madness of a map to one which is a lot more like a chessboard, Pabs, in Desert Siege. It's very, very early first blood pick heavy is this one.
Yeah, you're going to see, like, you know, no action for an incredible amount of time, and then a flurry maybe of 2 or 3 kills, depending on how the map goes. You might see some great sniper plays. We've seen some world star performances with the sniper on Desert Siege, and obviously very reminiscent in terms of its geography and in terms of its size to well, not geography maybe, but in terms of size to Berlin. Yeah. Obviously in terms of structurally, it's completely different. We've got maybe, you know, a scattered elevation where you have a lot of central elevation in Berlin. So it should be interesting to see how the two teams play this. Again, you would suggest the more organized side would play better on this map, but right now, who is that side? Because we've seen, you know, both teams play, you know, very, very good Call of Duty, and at times we've seen both teams play some quite shocking Call of Duty as well. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Again, I know we talk about this fascination with the skill disparity, but it's been blown out the water, and we're at game 5 in a match that we probably would have anticipated to be a 3-0, and it just shows you right now the Vanguard is itself has maybe just thrown the cat among the pigeons.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time there's been this bubble of players that have solidly been the top end of the EU. Well, Vanguard's just ripped that apart. We've lost some to Halo, some have retired, you know, some have obviously gone over to America, and it's left a kind of void, which is now being filled by some of the players that have come through the CCL, the ACCL, the Stim League, and places like that. And we're starting to see the fruits of their labour. So right now, you've just got to say, you know, doff your cap to Ryan Gray, Hunter Motions, and Lux for making this an absolutely awesome game so far.
Yeah, and we go into a game mode, obviously Search and Destroy, that you don't say it's anyone's game, but obviously these teams that aren't necessarily the favourites look to a Search and go, you know what, if we play right and we have our moments of good fortune, there's no reason why we can't pinch this. So I would be very surprised here if we don't get a close map, to be honest. Obviously Desert Siege is one where you can get some good timing, and obviously the more important thing, Pabs, is you tend to see a lot of snipers, and obviously we're huge fans of that as we bang the drum for it all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love. I mean, I'm not very good at it, but if I go into pubs, I'll generally be using the sniper just because it's a lot of fun. And obviously, you know, this game in itself can, you know, especially in public matches, can be quite draining. So you need to keep your kind of interest level at a maximum. And again, when you go into comp, you know, the feeling that you get.
There it is.
Take plays. How is that not a kill? You're absolutely right on point there, but unfortunately, not going to be there the first. But going to go the way of Activit-e Esports, though, as we do see Sean drop, and there's going to be reciprocal as Hunter does fall. And again, this map's crazy. Motions in and around this central kind of university area, trying to get the kills, and he's going to get 2-piece right there, and it's going to be Fluxx with a wild win. And Major, we did talk about this, that you see kind of very little action to begin with, and then there's a flurry of kills.
Yeah, and that middle building is one where if you're an assault rifle player, you don't normally want to go in there, to be honest, because it can be an absolute onslaught of trades. But a good first round there coming through from the boys in blue, and it will be Fluxx now going to try and work something on the attacking round here, and we'll see if 11 is still sticking with the sniper, and he is indeed. Happy day. So he must have got the memo that we love snipers, so we'll see if he can manage to grab a pick here. He did manage to get a hit marker right off the rip, and there is Capri just over the other side, but yeah, there's actually a really quick pinch coming through from a few of the players. Ori, is he going to spot these two players potentially pushing through? There is some aggression going all the way through the other side in Sean, and he's going to have the first engagement. First blood comes through for Sean. There's more players around, and Snake is going to manage to help him out to grab a second kill. So already a round that was looking like Fluxx were potentially going to look to push this lead out, but saying that, Ryan Gray, sniper out, manages to grab a pick, but now it's going to be all on him, 1 versus 3, and we'll see if he can get his phase up mode engaged.
Yeah, he's going to need to do a lot of work. A 1v3 in any of the maps on S&D is always going to prove incredibly problematic, but absolute work's going to be required. Ryan Gray does look like he thought he was going to fall off the map as he left himself in this really wild position.
I think he's found the weirdest spot, probably on COD. There he goes.
Yeah, he decides to dip. I was like, is he going to be able to get back out of that? Don't think he is. That's the kind of move that I would do. So it's lovely to see Ryan Gray just going a bit Pablo on the map, which is what we wanted to see, Major. But 2-0, and this is going away to the previous S&D. So Activit-e Esports with a lot to do, really, would suggest.
Yeah, so can Ryan manage to grab another all-important sniper kill? It's hopefully going to come before 2 of his teammates do drop, and he is going to go over towards that no man's land. Snake is going to be over towards that general direction, and there is a couple of gunfights that might be going down in towards middle. Dawn is lurking, and so too is Motion. So when will they check their respective corners? The engagements on Desert Siege all over the place sometimes, but there's the first blood. Berish Corey able to grab the first one, and there's a bit of a flank coming around from 11 all the way around the back. He has got Capri nearby. You can see now managed to try and get the kill with a pistol, and he does manage to do it. So 11 gets an important kill. So now 2 versus 2. And Hunter up in top mid manages to get a kill as well. So now it's all on 11. And it's going to be another sniper, Pabs, last man up. But can he manage to make the play?
Yeah, absolutely. the block by player request just makes the casting so much fun. You see a first blood go down, no idea where it is, could be anywhere. But what great play with the pistol so
Oh,
far. Combination of
holy.
that with Activit-e esports gonna see the round out, and you would expect again. We talk about one thing you do not see very often, and I've gone back to this time and time again. Clutches in this game and S&D are so difficult to get. The maps are so
Yeah.
all over the show in terms of elevation, and you've just got to look to that 1v4 by Denza. It was absolutely unreal. You've got to
Yeah.
consider just how good a play that was to get that at that level, and we're just seeing time and time again. It's one difference you would say from Cold War is, you saw a ton of clutches, but you're not really seeing it now in Vanguard.
Yeah, with that time to kill, I mean, if you make someone weak, if they catch you going around the corner, all it takes is the peanut pretty much to make the trade. So you don't really see a hell of a lot of them. And at that level against young cretins, obviously different series, but I mean, what a moment that was. But nonetheless, first blood, Sean able to grab it. Now coming down that 1 minute timer mark. Looking for the next engagement, and the bomb is going down. Sean is going to stick it over towards the B site, so now engagements are going to start potentially getting messy here. Ryan is working his way over towards this left-hand side of the map, and Motions and Cap, we managed to get 2 kills as well. So now 2 versus 3 in favour of Activit-e in a round where it was looking a little bit bleak. Oh, but there's a man right round the corner. Snake's been spotted. Can he manage to get the shots into him? He's getting tagged up by his other teammate in Motion, so now Motion's going to actually just stick the bomb here, and 11's got to be really quick here. He's going to have to try and fly around the corner, takes the man off of the bomb, so now 1 versus 1 up against Ryan. And with that top mid control, it's going to be very, very difficult for him here. It looks as though the defuse isn't going to come through here from Ryan. And 11 just going to check it right at the right second, just to make sure he's not going crazy. But another important round there coming through from the boys of Fluxx, Pablo, to reinstate that 2-round cushion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of these things that frustrates the life out of me. If that last player for Activit-e, he's not going to know. But if he sticks that plan straight away, he's planting, he's diffusing, sorry, at 12 seconds. And 11's not checking until 4 seconds. So he's got that time to diffuse. And I've seen loads of really top teams just go, screw it, I'm just going to diffuse as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And if he jumps on that and takes that advantage, it's a legitimate strategy. He might get gunned anyway. He might lose the round anyway, which is, potential. But he might just get that diffuse as well. And you see it time and time again, just get the diffuse regardless. And, if you decided to take that option, he would probably have taken the round. Bearish Corey, finally getting involved, 4 and 3, player that we said to look out for from the start of the game. He's come to life, over the last 2 maps. So great performance from him so far. And at 3-1, Fluxx Esports, potentially looking like they're going to see out what has been an absolutely, nightmare headache of a game for them.
Yeah, and Capri, we saw how good he was in the rounds prior and the maps prior. Can he manage to work this round here? This is a really big round for Activit-e. If he can get the bomb down and win this round, this is going to be huge in terms of momentum. They are trailing by 2. All the shots crisp, but not crisp enough to grab the kill. And number 6 coming around the side is Sean, manages to make the trade. And the boys of Fluxx, Pablo, they are not looking like they are going to drop anytime soon. They're 4-1 up now, 3 rounds to the good, and they're looking very efficient once again. Just trades and first bloods galore from these boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's a reason they asked for the minimap to be blocked. They've obviously got strategies that are very effective. They're going to be trying them out. And, they're probably going to be very happy with the way things are going right now. Everyone's doing really well across the board. No one's negative. They've been able to get a plan down. So Fluxx Esports in the driving seat right now, and you would suggest this is the kind of performance we expected out of them. But obviously, they just haven't delivered in a few of the rounds. But again, we talked about the positives that can be taken from the game. It's not over yet. And we've seen how complacent Fluxx can be, and we've just seen time and time again this kind of mid-map, mid-series area, mid-game area, the boys in red have managed to pull something out. It's 3 versus 3 right now, and still anyone's round.
Oh, Ryan, he knows there's a man up here. Oh my God, 11! How has he won that one? He's just absolutely violated him, and I think Hunter is stuck in the corner. He calls for help, and Fluxx come away straight away to give him a helping hand. 5-1 up now, the boys in blue lead. They are on an absolute mission as Sean gets the final kill. I'm pretty sure Hunter was stuck, but wow, the boys of Fluxx at the moment, Pabs, they look unstoppable, and now they're only 1 round away from taking the series, which we were potentially flagging up as an optional upset.
Yeah, I mean, Man, it's so difficult. You start to get a little nervous about making any kind of prediction because these games have been insane. They've been wild. They've gone completely against the grain, and we've been made to eat our words time and time again. But 5-1 is the kind of scoreline we expected from a team of this caliber. They finally come to life, and obviously they're trialing some of the strategies that they're going to be taking into the elites tomorrow. So a good opportunity, and if they have been taking this seriously, then they're going to be looking at some of the maps that they haven't done so well and start to think about, the potential issues they had in Gavuta control and in the Tuscan control and the Gavuta hardpoint. So yeah, just a huge moment right now. I think the S&D was obviously even tighter again. So yeah, definitely something to think about going into tomorrow. They're probably going to have a few conversations before they actually get up and start to bash about tomorrow. But, Activit-e esports definitely should be proud of the kind of performance they've had so far. Rico is going to get bombed down, and it's 2v2 major, but it is, again, one round away from potentially losing the series 3-2.
So now this next kill is huge. Oh, 11's not able to win that one, though, so now it's all on Luke. 1 versus 2 is needed. See this one out in an emphatic style to 6-1. He's going to try and get the high ground. Nice shots. Is he going to get the kill? No, the boys in red, they do just about enough to reply with a round, but they're going to need 4 more of it in quick succession here. They can't drop any more. Otherwise, this one will be going in favour of Fluxx Esports. And if you guys have missed any of the previous 4 maps, I highly suggest you go back and watch them, because apart from the control, they've all been pretty much bangers. But now the boys of Activit-e Esports breathe a sigh of relief, but they're going to need 4 more rounds of that, Pabs, and it's going to have to come through against a team that is not necessarily going to allow them much to work with.
Man, I would go as far as to say is the control was a banger, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
An
yeah, that's
anti-banger,
true.
maybe. Absolute anti-banger in a wild map. But right now, this is, this has been Fluxx's round. They're playing this to perfection. They lost 1 round just purely through aggression, so this is a good opportunity. And again, look at that player 11. The player we called out as having a particularly bad start to the series. Well, he's 11-5 now, and he's rammed those criticisms down our throat, and I'm really glad that he has. And right now, 5-2, sorry, with 28 seconds. 11 just going to wait. He's going to bide his time, let those players pass. Just sitting there, motions is on the defuse. He's last alive. Potentially going to get the sniper out and maybe just have a quick peek.
Oh, I mean, he spotted the guy and he killed him, but not, unfortunately, quick enough, because they did manage to grab the defuse. So, 5-3, I mean... Surely not, Pabs. Surely not.
No,
I mean, if this happens, man, this will be a hell of a moment for the boys of Activit-e, because they're doing it up against a team that are so prestigious in search, and they're a very, very smart group of 4. And I mean, if they let this one slip, they will be kicking themselves for days here.
Well, they'll only have tonight to kick themselves, because they've got to pick themselves back up for tomorrow, and probably the most important date in their calendar this month, and potentially going into next month. So they need to get this done as done. And finally, someone takes the advice and just gets the defuse as quickly as possible. They did have, bomb site control, but it is all about that. And right now, I'd be amazed if Fluxx let this go. But one thing that we have seen time and time again in this series is they can be super complacent and just completely lose. Who's on the defuse though? That player 11 straight there. Is he going to stick it? I think he is.
Yep, he's got it. He has got it, and all the experience coming through for those boys. They managed to take it in the game 5, 6-3 in the search, 3-2 in the series. And it's one that we called, Pabs, as being a potentially one-sided affair, but it was nothing like that at all. And you've got to give your commiserations there to the boys of Activit-e. They really gave it their all, and they're really unlucky not to come out with the series win.
Yeah, absolutely. They did. They went toe-to-toe with them time and time again, and even at times absolutely blew Fluxx Esports off the map. I mean, that Tuscan control, we talk about going back to watch the other games, go and watch the Tuscan control and just see how readily they dealt with Fluxx Esports. It was an annihilation, really. And at times, Fluxx looked completely all at sea, but then you get these other maps where they dominate because, you would suggest that a full round advantage in terms of points is quite a dominating performance on Bocage, and then they go into the S&D, and you would suggest they didn't play probably at the kind of pace and the kind of dominance that they would like to. They were 5-1 up and allowed themselves to kind of slip by the wayside, but right now, man, they look dominant in that S&D, but they've got a lot of work. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversation going into the elites tomorrow, where they're going to be like, we probably need to tighten up a few maps here, because outside that, look at that Gavuta, man. That first game, they just got absolutely dominated from the outset. And you know, apart from a handful of the P1s and a handful of other hills, they just got you know, bullied in the end. And their consistency, again, the key was that they just didn't see the aggression through and the consistency from the beginning to the end, and constantly fell off towards the end of the map, which we saw in the S&D, and we did see obviously in the hard point. But Major, again, we just I kind of like starting to feel like I don't understand Vanguard whatsoever, because we are being made. I mean, I'm glad that I didn't say I'd eat my hat, because I've got 2 caps and a bottle cap on my desk right now, and I'd have to be chewing them. But Major, insane games.
Yeah, really good maps nonetheless. A big GG's to both of the teams. Congratulations there to Fluxx Esports. They are going to manage to take it in 5 right down to the wire, but Activit-e, they can really take a huge amount of pride from that one, to be fair, to push that series out as they did. It was a great performance there from the boys in red, and I'm pretty sure they will look to that one as a more of a success than a negative. Really good performance from that team of 4 going into this weekend, but a GG's there all round, and a big thank you to everyone who has tuned in this evening. This is going to be our one and only game for this evening, but there's plenty more Super League action to come, so do not worry. We've got loads more of it. Obviously, this weekend, I don't believe we will be covering any, but back on next week, back on Monday, we'll have some more games for you guys. So a huge shout out to everyone, and especially to Mr. Baxter as well for just dropping the follow, and Mewtwo, Washed, and Sweaty Sacks. What a name. Thank you very much for the follows, guys. And obviously a huge shout out to everyone who drops by every single stream. You guys are absolute legends. We love every single one of you. So thank you very much for all your support. But that's going to be it from myself and Pabs, and we're going to drop a raid, Pabs, onto one of your favourites. Mr. Vickel's currently streaming at the moment, so we'll go over there and show him some love. If you don't know who Vickel is, I don't know where you've been, but obviously an EU man in an NA world, showing the boys of NA how we do it over here. So if you can head over there, drop him a follow, show him some love, and drop a Vamos in his chat as well, that'll be very much greatly appreciated. But that is going to be it.
He owes me a league play carry as well.
I'll drop him a message, see if we can get you on board with that. But yeah, that is going to be it from myself and Pabs this evening. So a huge shout out again to you guys, and we will catch you on Monday for some more action. Cheers again, guys. We will see you then.